All right, if you'd like to join us, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome to June 26th, the regular session. Commissioners, we have in front of us the consent agenda, which we received last week and reviewed. And unless there's any questions or need to postpone this for a later date, I'll take or entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed.
I make a motion we approve the items in the consent agenda as listed.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Payne.
Yes.
Mr. Hubel.
Yes. Steve, you said before the non-consent, you were after.
Judy, could you come up and...
Yeah. Judy wanted to talk about the Wendy's grant and how it's used and introduce people.
Today I have Sharon Wiesenhahn, who is our Wendy's Wonderful Kids recruiter, and her items were on the consent agenda, but I'd like to give her an opportunity just to talk to the board about what she's done this year.
Great. It's nice to have you back.
Thanks. Nice to be back. We've had a good year with Wendy's Wonderful Kids. Not sure if everyone knows exactly what it is that I do, but I work with the older kids who the agency has received permanent custody of, but they don't have an identified adoptive family. And I work with them to find an adoptive family. We exceeded our match goals this year. We were one short on our adoption finalization goal, but that adoption will finalize in September, so we were just a couple months delayed on that one. To talk a little bit about the kids that I work with, there is a 16-year-old girl who has been in foster care 7 years. We just matched her this month. She is actually visiting the family in Philadelphia right now. I'm going to pick her up later this week, and she will move in July. She's an incredible young lady who has been through so much. And when you look at everything she's been through, you would think that she would have terrible behaviors and all of these diagnoses. And she's just a wonderful, wonderful young lady who is finally getting the family she deserves. And so that's a little bit about what we do. I am very thankful to work with such a great group of people. I have the adoption unit that I work for. They couldn't be more dedicated to the children that we work with. They spend long hours, evenings, weekends, to try to help these kids get the families that they deserve. I'm very grateful to work with them.
Sharon, on an annual basis, how many of these teenage kids do you work with, and how many typically are placed, like in 16 and 2015?
So typically my caseload ranges from about 15 to 18 kids. This past year, we matched 9 children to adoptive families. We finalized 4 with the 5th one that will be finalizing in a couple months. And it varies from year to year depending on the kids that we have coming in custody. Sometimes, we don't get the kids until they're 17 and a half. So it's trying to find what we can in a short period of time. But even for those that we can't find matches for, if we can find them connections, if we can find them, permanent connections to kind of help them through that next stage in life, we've at least accomplished something there too. We're not equipped to make it through this world on our own. And at 18, most of us are not ready to be out there and be completely on our own without support. I know I still call my mom for lots of things. So, I think these kids, that need for family doesn't end at 18. They need to continue to have that support, and it helps them be much more successful in life.
We're grateful to have the Dave Thomas Foundation grant monies coming in every year to keep you going, which that's great. It's good application of funds. Yes. So, good.
Any other questions?
So prior to finding them an adoptive home,
yes.
How is that support given to them? How do they live and?
So some of them live in foster homes, some of them live in group homes, some of them live in residential institutions, depending on the needs of the child. We do our best to get them into foster homes, but some of them, you know, either we can't find placement. We always need more foster parents, so anyone out there is interested in that. You know, it certainly does make a difference for kids to be able to be in a home environment as opposed to in a group home or residential setting. When we're working with them, then my job is to go out and to get to know the kids, to know their likes, their dislikes, their personalities, just what kind of things, you know, really help motivate them. And then I look for families with similar interests, hobbies, with similar personalities to kind of help complement the child. And then we start doing, you know, introductions or visits, match, and then which then leads to a match and then to placement.
And what can we do for those that are living in group homes and trying to have a life there? What can we do as Clermont County citizens to help?
Most group homes will always take donations. There's also ways that you could participate by being sort of an unofficial mentor to a child. If someone is interested, they could contact a group home to see if there's a child that would need something like that. Some of these kids, sadly, the only visitors they get are, you know, their caseworker and myself once a month. You know, and we try to get out there more, but depending on how far away they are, some of these kids, unfortunately, aren't placed in Clermont County. A lot of them are placed anywhere in Ohio. So, you know, when you're traveling 4.5 hours to do one visit, it's hard to get up there more than once a month.
In round figures in Clermont County, as far as group homes that we have, how many children do we have that are actually living in a group home?
So I would only know the kids in permanent custody, and the kids that are in just Clermont County group homes. I know of 2 that are in group homes in Clermont County.
Okay.
The rest of them are all, actually I take that back, there's 1 in a group home in Clermont County. The rest are all in group homes or residential.
Sharon, you're just talking about your sector that you're working with,
Yes.
which is the teenage, not all kids. There's,
Right, correct.
I imagine there's several hundred, I don't know. What, Judy, in terms of all the kids that are in the foster care or else in group homes?
We have just under 200 that are
Okay.
in foster care or a group home in
Sure.
placement.
And I also only work with the kids that are in permanent custody, so there are a lot of kids that might be in group homes that are still working a reunification plan with their family.
Okay.
So they haven't come to our unit yet. I don't know them yet.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judy, for bringing her to us, even though she was on the consent agenda.
On the Clermont County website, if you were to click Children's Protective Services, we have a list of all the waiting kids. There's either 13 or 16 out there today. There's a picture, a description about them, what they like, they dislike, some of their health issues. So if anyone is interested in adopting a child that's available today, that's a good place to look.
Can you give that website for the benefit of the camera?
Kathleen, the name of the website?
Or-
Yeah, come on, for kids.
Okay.
And the children are listed at the top,
The top.
and then you adopt them.
Thanks, Kathleen. All right, well, switching over then to page 3, the non-consent agenda, item 7. It's Judy, thank.
Item 7 is my recommendation. The Director of Job and Family Services. We are the administrative agent for Clermont County Family and Children First, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, Assistant County Administrator, to execute a memorandum of understanding by and between the Board of Clermont County Commissioners, Clermont County, Ohio, and Clermont County Family and Children First, who, again, the administrative agent is Job and Family Services, for the establishment of a cooperative and mutually beneficial relationship between all parties, and further to provide for the contribution of $37,558 by the Board of County Commissioners to Clermont County Family and Children First, which represents the Board of County Commissioners' local contribution for the period of July 1, 17 through June 30th of 18, pursuant to the terms and conditions specified therein, and in compliance with the Clermont County Family and Children First local contribution policy attached thereto and made a part of thereof. This local contribution, Family and Children First supports multi-need kids in multi-systems, schools, the Board of DD, mental health, children's services, and the commissioners are one of several agencies that make local contributions to support the services through Family and Children First. Children's Services makes a contribution, the Board of Developmental Disabilities, Mental Health and Recovery, Juvenile Probation, the Public Health District, and Greater Cincinnati Behavioral Health all make contributions. And those dollars are used to support the wraparound program, which is a prevention kind of program for families that have multi-need youth that are involved in multi-systems, and trying to find services to keep them in the community and help those families manage and help those kids be successful. And those dollars also help provide services for the kids in residential treatment. They pay for someone to visit the treatment facilities. As we contract and we send those contracts to the board, someone from Family and Children First actually does a site visit, at least initially, and then when we place kids, we do another site visit. And they're responsible for taking care of and following up on any concerns that happen while those children are in residential treatment with the facility. So that's what we do with those pooled funds.
Great. Can we get a motion then to execute a memorandum of understanding for the contribution of $37,558 to Clermont County Family and Children First, as referenced in item 7?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Yubel.
Yes. Item 8?
Item 8 is my recommendation with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, Assistant County Administrator, to execute the sub-grant agreement by and between the Board of Clermont County Commissioners on behalf of Department of Job and Family Services and Easter Seals Tri-State LLC out of Cincinnati, Ohio, for the provision of the Ohio Youth Works Program for eligible TANF youth in Clermont County in accordance with the scope of services attached thereto and incorporated therein in Exhibit 1, for a total amount not to exceed $142,368.39, effective for the period of May 1st, 17 through September 30th of 17, pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions set forth therein and contingent upon the issuance and receipt of a purchase order required therefore. We always run a summer youth program, or at least we have the last 4 years, and we typically, the state rules last year changed and said you have to do that program through Comprehensive Case Management Employment Program. We all call that CCMEP. But CCMEP is for 16 to 24-year-olds, and this Ohio Youth Works money allows us to employ 14 and 15-year-olds. So this money is specific to that age group.
That's the subgroup or sub-grant agreement then.
Yes.
Okay. Can we get a motion then to execute the sub-grant agreement with the Easter Seals Tri-State for the provision of the Ohio Youth Works Program as referenced in item 8?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Yubel.
Yes. 9?
9 is my recommendation with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, Assistant County Administrator, to execute Amendment Number 1 to the sub-grant agreement by and between County of Clermont, Ohio, and Easter Seals Tri-State LLC out of Cincinnati, Ohio, previously ratified by the Board of County Commissioners on September 21st, 2016, for the provision of Comprehensive Case Management Employment Program for temporary assistance for needy families, the youth in Clermont County, Ohio, for the Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services, the Ohio Means Jobs Clermont Division. 1, revise the scope of service to include CCMEP Light Services, which will provide youth employment services for eligible TANF youth ages 16 to 18. Number 2, to revise the line item budget to include costs for both CCMEP and CCMEP Light Services. And 3, to extend the effective date for an additional 3-month period through September 30th with no charge to the total sub-grant agreement amount as outlined in the revised CCMEP program budget, attached thereto and incorporated therein as Exhibit 2, effective for the period of July 1, 16 through September 30th, 17, with all other terms and conditions of the original sub-grant agreement to remain in full force and effect. CCMEP is a year-round program, so to enroll youth, they have to stay engaged the whole 12 months, and there's outcomes they have to meet. But we recognize by doing the summer program that 16 and 17-year-old youth who are already in high school just want a summer job. And these are kids that come from families who have household income less than 200% of poverty. And we want them to have a summer job and get that experience and earn some money. So the state allowed us to do a light program where we could recruit 16 and 17-year-old in-school youth and just let them work for the summer and then go about their business.
You know, in the past, Judy, I think we've had a tough time filling those spots. Are we doing a little better this year, or have we found more jobs for a lot of these?
We have probably about 25 spots available for 16 and 17-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of money they gave us for Ohio Youth Works for the 14 and 15-year-olds, we could have doubled the number of 14 and 15-year-olds that wanted to work, because they really can't work anywhere else because of child labor laws. So we're down to our last 25, though, for 16 and 17-year-olds.
Okay. Good. Okay, can we entertain a motion to execute the amendment number 1 to the sub-grant agreement for the provision of the comprehensive case management and employment programs for the eligible temporary assistance for needy families, with the objectives as referenced 1 through 3 in item 9.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. Number 10?
Number 10 is my recommendation with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, Assistant County Administrator, to authorize the President of the Board of County Commissioners to execute the local workforce development system sub-grant agreement by and among the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services and local Area 12 representatives, including Butler, Clermont, and Warren County Commissioners, who are the elected chief offices of local Area 12, the local Workforce Development Board for local Area 12, and the Warren County Board of Commissioners as the fiscal agent for local Area 12, to define the roles and responsibilities of said parties, as well as to identify the terms, conditions, and requirements for the administration and use of the subgrant funds allocated to local Area 12 by ODJFS for the administration of workforce development activities, therefore, for a total subgrant agreement amount not to exceed the amount specified in the allocation letters for the periods included in the allocation, or for the Ohio Works Incentive Program costs, the amount specified in the State of Ohio purchase order, effective for the period of July 1/17 through 6/30/19, pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions specified therein, and in accordance with sections 5101.20 of the Ohio Revised Code. This is the 3-area MOU that has to be signed by all 3 boards of county commissioners. It was sent out to all the partners. They've also signed it. Every OMJ center has on-site partners. Some are mandated, some are voluntary, but they all participate. They all share in costs of running the OMJ centers.
Okay. We get a motion then to execute the local workforce development system sub-grant agreement with the local Area 12 representatives as referenced in item 10.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. Item 11.
Item 11 is my recommendation with concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, Assistant County Administrator, to approve the memorandum of understanding by and between the Clermont County Board of Commissioners, the Butler County Board of Commissioners, and the Warren County Board of Commissioners as the local area chief elected officials, the Warren County Board of Commissioners as the fiscal agent, and the Area 12 Workforce Investment Board, Butler, Clermont, Warren, and the required partners as outlined therein pursuant to Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, Section 121B1B, which outlines the parties' roles, responsibilities, and funding commitments for the operation and funding of the local area workforce development system in the Ohio Means Job Centers in the local Area 12 for state fiscal years 18 and 19, effective for the period of July 1/17 through June 30th of 19, and subsequent thereto, authorize the Board of Clermont County Commissioners to execute the memorandum of understanding for and on behalf of Clermont County, Ohio, pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions specified therein. And again, this is the memorandum of understanding that all the partners sign, again, agreeing to what their costs will be to be part of the Ohio Means Job Center and how that cost sharing happens.
To approve the memorandum of understanding between Clermont Counties, the Butler County Board of Commissioners, the Warren County Board of Commissioners, and the Warren County Board of Commissioners as the fiscal agent in the Area 12 Workforce Investment Board as referenced in item 11.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes. Boy, Judy, glad you showed up today.
Oh, my.
Item 12. Yeah.
Item 12 is my recommendation with the concurrence of Thomas J. Igo, Assistant County Administrator, to acknowledge the execution of the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services intercounty agreements and certifications for the release and acceptance of funds, Form 2719, by and between Clermont County, Ohio, and the following counties relative to intercounty adjustments of allocated funds in the amounts outlined below, by Judy Eschman, Department of Job and Family Services, as authorized designee by the Board of Clermont County Commissioners pursuant to Resolution Number 14-17, previously ratified by the Board of Clermont County Commissioners on February 1, 2017, pursuant to the terms and conditions set forth therein, and in accordance with Rule 5101 9-6-82 of the Ohio Administrative Code. We have to date exchanged funds with 4 counties, Allen, Clark, Gallia, and Shelby, for a total amount of $154,053.99. Job and Family Service agencies get a budget from the state, and it comes to them in the form of many allocations. Our DJFS agency has a budget of about $23 million. It comes in 48 funding streams. Each funding stream says what you can spend that money on and what your restrictions are. So when at the end of a calendar year, whether it's a federal or a state calendar or state year, there are 3 options for unused funds. And that happens because you can't spend everything, all your dollars on just anything. The first thing
48 streams, like you said.
48 funding streams. The first thing that you can do is try and move those dollars to another department under the JFS umbrella. And there are some rules about what monies can move where. So we always do that first. The second thing that we can do is release, accept, or exchange dollars with another county Department of Job and Family Services, because all counties are different, our communities are unique, so we can exchange dollars as we see fit. Because if we don't do one or two, the state of Ohio absorbs any unused funds, so then no one locally can use them. So we did this last year. I think we exchanged about $350,000 by the end of the year, because this is the state fiscal budget exchanges. We still have federal fiscal budget exchanges that we can do through the end of the year.
But it's typically a 1-for-1. I mean,
not always. If you have dollars that you're not going to use and nobody has anything to exchange, then you would release it. You'd give it to another county to help with any overage.
but in this case, though, everything
in this
seems to
case,
be
it's 1-to-1. We have exchanged, with the exception of Allen County, Clark, Gallia, and Shelby, we exchanged income maintenance dollars, which is public assistance funds, for Children's Protective Services dollars, because Children's Protective Services is our tightest budget. For Allen County, we actually exchanged 4B monies, which is Children's Protective Service money, but it's a 75-25 split, so you had to have a 25% match to use it, and we exchanged it for TANF Independent Living, which was 100%. So we made a fiscal move by exchanging dollars.
Yeah, not getting into the.
Wonderful at this, and I appreciate the effort that your staff and you put into this.
Yeah.
It's much better to use it locally, either here or in another county, than it is to give it back to the state and put it back in the big pot. So.
Yeah. So not to get into the weeds, but is there like a Craigslist for the Department of Job and Family Services? And you can say, I got one of these, but I can only trade for that. I mean,
There
it's.
actually is. It's actually on the state of Ohio, the Office of Budget Management and Budget has a list where counties can post what they're looking for and what they have to exchange.
Okay.
So we use that list all the time.
And are these dollars annual or biannual?
These are annual dollars. So we always exchange them at the end of a budget year.
And we're at the end of the state budget year, so
Okay.
this is the moment.
Can we get a motion then to acknowledge the execution of the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services inter-county agreement and certifications for the release and acceptance of the funds for the counties as referenced and the amounts referenced in the table in item 12?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Yubel.
Yes. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Raybold, any add-ons before we make a motion to go into executive session?
No, sir.
Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to section 121.22 G3 and G6 of the Ohio Revised Code to first confer with the prosecuting attorney regarding pending or imminent litigation, and secondly, discuss details relative to the security arrangements and emergency response protocols for a public body or a public office, respectively. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Yule.
Yes, we'll be right back. Ready to go? Live? Well, we are back from executive session. No decisions were made or votes taken. And during that recess, we had the minutes prepared, which we now have in front of us. And after reviewing them, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from June 22nd, 2017.
So moved.
26th.
26th.
What did I say, the 17th, June?
22nd, I think you said, but I may have heard it
Well,
wrong.
I think I have to say it wrong every week just so that I'm consistent.
Just 26th, yes, sir.
So June
I'll
26th,
second the motion.
2017. Okay, thank
There we
you.
go.
All right.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Yule.
Yes, and a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Humphrey.
Aye.
Mr. Painter.
Yes.
Mr. Yule.
Yes, thank you for coming. See you next week.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
What day is today? Monday.